And having said that, what's the difference between 4X at $1 million? That's, if you had $1 million EBITDA, but, that would be 4 million. If you had a $5 million EBITDA, and you're looking at 6X or 7X. So the numbers get crazy. A small change in EBITDA can make a huge change in what revenue comes to you as you begin to exit dentistry, or you're no longer a part of it.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Bruce B. Baird, and you're listening to the Productive Dentist Podcast. In this podcast, I will give you everything that I've learned over the last 40 years in dentistry, working with thousands of dentists. I'll tell you, it's not that my way is the only way. It's just one that has worked extremely well for me, and I'd love to share that with you so you too can enjoy the choices and lifestyle that productivity allows. More time for things you love, increased pay, better team relationships, and lowered stress. Let's get into it with this week's episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.
Reagan Robertson here with Productive Dentist Academy. Get ready to join your favorite podcast hosts, Dr. Bruce B. Baird, Victoria Peterson, Dr. Chad Johnson, and myself, Reagan Robertson, at the nation's #1 dental business course that guarantees practice growth. That's right, full immersion CE, so you can consistently produce more and align your team for results without compromising excellent patient care. Productive Dentist Academy has a special running this month that you can activate immediately. It's called the PDA Productivity Bundle. And we put this together so that you could attend this workshop, which is happening September 22nd to the 24th in Frisco, Texas at the Hyatt Regency, along with tools to make sure that not only are you getting great education on how to increase your productivity, how to communicate better with your team and your patients, increase your case acceptance, authentic market practice, and more, you also get a 2-hour business advisory session before the workshop to really get clear on what matters to you most so that you can be set up for success at the workshop. And following the workshop, you get 12 months access to PDA On Demand. That is the entire productivity workshop on demand for you to make sure that you are doing everything you can in your power to soak up all of that CE and implement it come Monday morning, the next month, and the next month, and the next month for 12 months down the line. Registration is now open. The tuition cost is $2,195, which is ridiculous because it's regularly $5,528 for the productivity workshop attendance, 2-hour business advisory session, and 12 months access to PDA On Demand. Hop on over right now to www.productivedentist.com/workshop to grab your registration today. Again, that is www.productivedentist.com/workshop. If you cannot wait and you have to have it right now, email Brent, B-R-E-N-T, at productivedentist.com. That's Brent, B-R-E-N-T, at productivedentist.com, and we will save you a seat. I look forward to seeing you there.
Hi, this is Dr. Bruce Baird with the Productive Dentist Podcast, and this is part 2 of a conversation. And I don't know how many parts we're going to have until I guess I get finished talking about it. But that might be 2 parts, or it might be 5 parts. But in the last podcast, for those who listened to it, we talked about those dentists that are thinking about selling, or the dentist who doesn't like dentistry and is selling, and certainly understand that. I just wish for those docs they hadn't had to go through dental school to figure it out. But most of those people, it was about the business part they didn't like. And truthfully, that's something that's easy to fix. And then there's the dentist that gets to the end of their career and they haven't built the type value that they really want to build. And it really comes down to EBITDA. And I'll tell you a story. We have a doctor that we worked with at Productive Dentist, and we've always focused on production per hour. Now our focus is starting to shift towards an investment grade practice. My partner Victoria is writing a book called The Investment Grade Practice. I'm writing a book that will be coming out here in about 6 weeks called Legendary Leadership. And the combination of those two things can allow you to build a pretty amazing business. But we're now focusing on EBITDA. And we see doctors, and again, we get probably 15 offers a month. When I say offers, they're offers to doctors that we know, doctors that would like for us to evaluate their offer, because there's not many people out there that are on the side of the dentist. There's all these corporate America guys who are making these offers. And two stories. Number one, the dentist who brought us the offer, and they were getting a 5X multiple. And they said, I'm really excited about this. They've offered me $1.5 million. And we went, fantastic. I mean, that's great. Is that good for you and your family and everything else? And they said, oh, yeah. And then, so we evaluated their numbers and we looked at them, and we got all the same information the DSO got, but then we run the EBITDA numbers. And guess what? The EBITDAs were not the same. And I'm not saying every DSO does this, because we've seen some that are just dead on right accurate. But the DSO gives you an offer based on a EBITDA that they figure out. Now, standardizing this is very difficult, but we look at EBITDA as true EBITDA, and we found out that this doctor's EBITDA was actually about 60% more than what they would have gotten from that DSO. And what that means when you 5X it, you're talking about double the offer or triple the offer. So that's what we do. And you can always go to productivedentist.com and sign up and talk to us about, let us evaluate your offers, because I think that's critical. The other thing is, why are you taking that offer? Why are you leaving dentistry? Are you 55, 60 and you've done well financially and you're ready to retire? Great. Still let us look at your stuff so we can get you the max value. We had recently a doctor in her late 40s. And I say recently, about 4 years ago, she came to us, and this is what can happen for that doctor who's not ready to sell. But she came to us, and her practice had a valuation, great dental practice and just great clinical skills. Her practice was worth about $1.7 million for sale price. She worked with Productive Dentist Academy for a little under 4 years. And we took her EBITDA and the growth and the valuation of her practice from 1.7. She just sold that practice about, I think, 7 months ago for $6 million. So if you're in that time where you're like, okay, I'm not quite ready to sell because I haven't really planned financially for my future. I haven't really planned the way I really thought I planned. I was so busy going to CE and continuing ed and learning all of the new techniques and new technology. And now I've come to this place in my career where I really need to, what we say in Texas, make hay while the sun shines. That's where Productive Dentist Academy can make a huge difference. And we can help you grow that. But the things that I'm telling you here, these are the things that you need to be aware of. You need to know that, on the one hand, you may be getting an offer from someone it's not your true EBITDA. And most dentists, bless us, but we don't have a whole lot of business sense. I mean, I'd say 5%. The 95% just love being a dentist and they're working hard and everything else. Let professionals look at it. One of my really good friends and who now works with us, David Porritt, Dr. David Porritt. David is got his doctorate. He worked with me as CEO of the Compassionate Finance. But David, after he left Compassionate, went and got his doctorate. And his thesis was on job satisfaction of a dentist in a DSO. Amazing information. But he was also part of a DSO, a large DSO, where they were making offers to people. And so he evaluates most of these offers and is able to look at them and compare truly apples to apples, oranges to oranges. And that's really what you need. And we feel like we're making this change in direction. It's not really a change in direction. We're going to continue to help people increase their production. We're going to continue to help teach people to communicate better and communicate in different ways that lead to success. continue to teach people how to become better leaders in their business. But this is the one thing that now we can look at your practice and we will know your EBITDA every single month, meaning you'll know if your EBITDA is growing, you'll know if your EBITDA is going down, you'll know, and when it's time for you to sell, when you look at it and say, because as EBITDA goes up, guess what happens? The multiples go up. If your practice is doing $1 million, you're going to get a different multiple on your business than if your business is doing $3 million. And having said that, what's the difference between 4x at $1 million? That's, if you had $1 million EBITDA, but that would be 4 million. If you had a $5 million EBITDA, and you're looking at 6x or 7x. So the numbers get crazy. A small change in EBITDA can make a huge change in what revenue comes to you as you begin to exit dentistry, or you're no longer a part of it. I see a lot of dentists that are in their 30s selling, and they're selling their practice. And I've talked about this several times on the last few podcasts, but they sell their practice. Now what are they going to do? So they got an offer, or they built a business, and they got $1.5 million, and they're all excited. And, they decide, I'm going to do a little clinical, and then I'm going to do a little of this, a little of that. And maybe they have another business lined up. Great. I've been down that road where I've had other businesses. I've always done it in conjunction with my own practice. But for whatever reason, that's the direction that they're going. But what ends up happening, $1 million in 2000, the year 2000, its value today is about $560,000. And that's with very minimal inflation. What's going to happen now is, now we're in 2022. Inflation is at 8%, 8.4%, but that's because they changed the rules back in I think it was like in the 90s. They changed the rules. Inflation today, if you compared it to 1980, when it was the worst inflation, except now we've just passed that. If you compare it with the real numbers of the same time frame, our inflation probably is closer to 15%. People are suffering. It's going to affect your dental practice. So you sell your practice for $1.5 million, and you find out 8 years later, 10 years later, 12 years later, which hopefully you're still going to be around, that value of that practice is not worth near what it was. So what I'm telling you is, let's look at your practice. Let us help you. Let me help you. Determine, is this the good time to sell? Is this the right time to sell? Am I getting maximum revenue for this? Am I getting what this is worth? What it really truly is worth? Or am I getting what a DSO is willing to offer? And so that's where we can help guide you down the road, because there's really not a lot of people that are guiding people. I know Dental Nachos, those guys are doing a lot of really great stuff, but they're few and far between. Most of the brokers out there that are selling to the DSOs, that are, aggregating practices, selling them to DSOs, they get, they may have 2 or 3 out of 10 that come to them that are really ready to sell. And so we've got a built-in mechanism to help dentists, to help build their EBITDA. If they're not all that happy with the dentistry part, we've got ways that we can help you along those lines. But that's something you're going to have to do on your own. But if you're unhappy running the business, don't sell just because you think you're FOMO, your fear of missing out. Don't just sell because of that. Now, there are some people that are really high up in Facebook and everything. They've sold their business, but they're also getting back-end revenue from the DSOs that they sold to, by bringing more dentists to them. So that's great. I mean, if that's their business model, fine. But what I'm telling you is, you don't have to just get in line here. You don't have to be like, oh my gosh, my friend just sold to a DSO. Maybe I should do that. That was really smart of them. Every single practice is different. The practitioner's different. They have different, you guys have different wants, different needs. Every time you look at EBITDA, well, it depends on how you calculate it. You'd think it would be a pretty standardized thing, but it's actually EBITDA is only the fourth most popular way of valuing a business. But that's what all the DSOs want is EBITDA. And, is that because they can manipulate it more? Is that because, I don't know. I mean, that's up to someone else to decide. I'm not going there. So anyway, these are the things I want you to be thinking about. It's time. Is it time to grow your business? Is it time to increase your leadership skills? Is it time to increase your communication skills? All of these things can be handled. And they can be handled, I won't say easily, but they can be handled with just a little attention to detail. Everything is an intentional activity when it comes to practices that I like to work with. We help you do that. We're going to give you some intentional things to do. Your valuations are going to go up, and you're going to find that you're back enjoying dentistry. We've done that with a bunch of dentists where we increase their communication skills, increase their leadership skills, increase their business skills, and made it automated so they're not having to worry about it day in and day out. And guess what? They end up practicing another 10 years, another 15 years. Why? Because they actually love doing what they love doing. I mean, I know, I'm busier now since I clinically retired than I've ever been. And I don't want to retire because, most of my buddies that retire die. And I want to be active. I want to keep thinking about things and keep coming up with new solutions and new ways of doing it. So that's the Productive Dentist Podcast. Please tell your friends about us. And, I look forward to our next time. You can go to productivedentist.com and ask questions. You can send me a message at bruce@productivedentist.com. I'm more than happy to reach back out to you. I don't type fast, but I will reach back out to you. So again, look forward to next time.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you subscribe. Pass it along to a friend. Give us a like on iTunes and Spotify, or drop me an email at podcast@productivedentist.com. Don't forget to check out other podcasts from the Productive Dentist Academy at productivedentistpodcast.com. Join me again next week for another episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.